Vamos con el siguiente ponente, que es Warren Smith. Warren Smith is the Global Digital Marketplace Program Director, Government Digital Services from UK. So he will talk about what is the biggest challenge for the city leaders facing moving away from traditional approach to public procurement on ICTs.
Thank you, Jose. I'm going to follow your lead, Robert, of stand up, be a bit active. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you also for the city of Valencia for hosting. That's fantastic. So yeah, I'm Warren Smith. I'm from the Global Digital Marketplace Programme, which is a key delivery for the UK Government Digital Service, and our focus is on working with national and sub-national governments in terms of regional or city governments to help tackle corruption in the end-to-end life cycle of delivery in procurement of ICT. So if you take away the square brackets, actually we're talking about helping to reform public procurement in support of smart, sustainable cities. So I just want to give a quick canter through the story of the UK government. So it didn't start in such a great place. 2009, we had a very concentrated digital data and technology supply chain. And the National Audit Office estimated that of the significant £16 billion of the year that the UK government was spending, 80% with just 18 suppliers. So this map depicts the concentration of that market. So things had to change in terms of procurement reform to change that. And at the time, procurement was, I think we've heard a number of words from the other panelists: bureaucratic, complex, painful, slow, risk-averse. All these things basically kind of got in the way of delivering better public services for our citizens. So just as the points say here, it was neither understanding nor meeting users' needs. So in our terms, users are citizens, businesses, charities, social enterprises. Very much focus on delivering a task rather than thinking about outcomes and impacts and benefits. Very much isolated from what happens before procurement in terms of planning, investment appraisal, engagement with the market, but also isolated from what happens after procurement. So when a contract's awarded, managing relationships, ensuring constructive, collaborative relationships, and actually having an impact on citizens as well. And finally, it was also hidden from public scrutiny. So we heard one of the panelists talking about, in fact, Robert, I think, talking about, if decisions and plans are done in isolation or behind closed doors, then it can actually have quite an impact on the trust between government and civil society. So poor data, poor quality of data, and availability of that data really got in the way of that as well. So we had to change. So the journey we've been on, as I said, started back in 2009. And so we've been through kind of 4 phases of transformation, and we're currently in the government transformation strategy phase, which takes us from 2017 to 2022. And you can see that we've had a dramatic impact on the UK supply chain of digital and technology suppliers. So today we have thousands of suppliers available, and over 90% of them are small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. So really the key building blocks that I wanted just to summarize in helping us to get to that position, and all the links, you can have a look at these yourselves, it's all in the public domain. From the top left, it's in terms of what happens before the procurement, we use the technology code of practice. So this is a set of standards which ensures that any plans that government is going to spend its money on in support of digital and technology delivery meets the exacting standards of that code of practice. That flows through into then how the procurement is delivered, so the digital marketplace. That flows through into then what happens after procurement in terms of assuring service delivery. So we have a set of standards that drive that. And I think what's really key key is that the standards at the heart of that and the governance is consistent. So we absolutely focus on meeting the needs of our users based on research, not anecdotes and not assumptions. And also using open data, so the bottom left, using open data to ensure transparency of all the government decision making around procurement, the planning, and the assurance as well. So we've formally adopted the Open Contracting Data Standard as an official UK government standard. But also capability and capacity is massive. So how do you help get the people who are involved in this to work together openly, collaboratively, all focused on achieving the transformation efforts that I've just described. And also, finally, the final bottom right tile is actually when we're talking about public service reform, it's no longer about central government or local government, it's about the collaboration between government entities, all focused on meeting the needs of our citizens at a local and a national level. So, I love this document, by the way. This is a great publication. There's already fantastic alignment between what we're doing and what the ITU and the U4SSC initiative is doing. I think it sums it up quite nicely here in terms of the conclusions. Governments should engage in, and donors are recommended to fund, pilots to provide global reference examples of how cross-sectoral approaches, technology products, policies, practices, and people, so all the Ps, can help digital service reach the underserved more efficiently and effectively. So the approach of reforming procurement in the context of better governance actually helps to achieve the SDGs, and I think that's absolutely critical. So why are we focusing on corruption? There's some massive numbers involved with corruption. So the World Economic Forum estimates 2.6 trillion a year is lost through corruption. I mean, I had to Google how many zeros in trillion. I didn't really know, but that's a staggering number. World Bank estimates 1 trillion in bribes paid every year. 57% of bribery cases relate to public procurement contracts, as based on the OECD, and also 59% of bribery relates to just 4 sectors. ICT is one of them, but also transportation and storage, which also is quite relevant to cities as well. So this is another great report from the OECD, but they sum it up very nicely that corruption effectively undermines achieving the SDGs. Some of those numbers that I flashed up on the previous slide, 2.6 trillion is more than the combined annual GDP of sub-Saharan African countries. I mean, that's just crazy, right? So addressing that actually helps to unlock opportunities for spending that money to help meet the needs of our citizens. And so those 6 slides that I showed on the tiles, they basically represent the 5 pillars of the Global Digital Marketplace Programme, and all centered around meeting the needs of our users, citizens and businesses and charities in civil society. But we're not doing this alone. Collaboration is absolutely key. So we got some really great partnerships that we've signed MOUs with earlier this year. The Organisation for International Economic Relations, who I think Carrie is back there, the Secretary General, who's also a key driving force behind the U4SSC initiative. The Open Contracting Partnership, who are responsible for the Open Contracting Data Standard, and the IACCM, who are a global organisation for building capability in commercial and contracting. So just to reiterate, in closing, our primary goal is to work with national and subnational governments to take a completely different approach to procurement, bringing public procurement into the internet era and ensuring that that is in support of delivery of ICT. And so while I'm here, I'm using this opportunity to effectively pitch for a piece of work to begin a consultation on developing a set of standards for procurement and KPIs associated with it in support of smart, sustainable cities. And I'll be talking about that again in Carrie's session tomorrow. So hopefully that's the kind of thing that we would actually have all you involved in that consultation too. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Warren, for your presentation. And it's very interesting, and these 5 pillars are so good.